Well, that looks pretty good, doesn't it? Ah, white sugar. I hope that music isn't too loud in the background. I think it probably is. So, what I have here in my pocket is I have a list. It's 2 pages that I printed out of questions, comments from the China How It Is series. You know, it's just things I haven't gotten around to answering. So I'm going to drink this coffee, then I'm going to find a quieter place and answer these. So let's get down to the questions and answers, shall we? Now, I know I can't answer all of your questions, there just isn't enough time, but I'm going to try my best anyway to answer as many as I can. So, let's see. Fiscus128 sent a question about, he wanted to know what the following costs were: insurance, healthcare, that sort of thing, telephone, internet, visas, blah blah blah, taxes, parking, fuel. Alright, I've covered quite a lot of this in some of my videos, but what I am going to tell you about is how much the internet costs. If you want to get just a normal 1 meg ADSL connection in your house, it's probably going to cost you about 700 to 800 RMB a year for the costs. I have a 4 meg connection in my house, and I think it was 1,200 thereabouts for a year. Things like visas and all that I will cover in one of my upcoming videos, so just hang on for that one. Alright. Mr. Egg 1000 asked, well, he said, I heard you have to be 18 to drink and buy beer in China. Is that true? I don't know, but I do know that if a law, I'm pretty sure that is the law, probably 18 is the drinking age, but it doesn't stop anyone under 18 from drinking. I've seen lots of younger kids drinking, and there doesn't seem to be any problems with that, and I guess it's just because you just don't see people going overboard and binge drinking and causing trouble out in the streets. You know, usually you'll see people have a beer with their dinner or lunch or something like that, and you know, it's just a different culture. So just like many of the laws in China, that's kind of a grey area. If you're under 18, you'll have no problem buying beer and drinking it here. Okay. Mr. Country Twang said, question about beer. Are there any pubs or shops where you can buy tasty ale or stout, IPA, that kind of thing? Yes, of course there are. Problem is, those are usually foreign pubs or foreign clubs, things like that, and it's usually quite expensive, so expect to pay a Western price for a good wheat beer or something like that, anywhere from 14 to 68 RMB for 1 pint. Okay. Next, Rally95 said, how much is clothing? Cheap, I'm guessing. What about electronics? Okay, well, let me talk about clothing. Clothing can be very, very cheap. It just depends on where you go and buy your clothing. For instance, if you go to these little villages I hang around in, you can buy t-shirts for like 10 or 15 RMB for a t-shirt thereabouts. Trousers, maybe 30 RMB, up to 60 RMB, around about there. Clothing can be very cheap, but of course brand names, and if you go to a proper shop, it's going to be expensive. Right, next. What else did you say? Electronics, I'll talk about that in another one. Whereas VZ said, how much do you pay for registering the car, and how high are the taxes, unusual things, blah blah blah. There is a sales tax in China. I think it's somewhere around 11 or 12%, I'm not entirely sure. But things are so cheap, it's not ever going to bother you. Registering the car, well, in my car video I explained everything, all the pricing together, can't remember. But registering the car wasn't very expensive. It was about somewhere under 1,000, I believe. Anyway, I will find out for you next time, because I will have to re-register my car in September, and I'll tell you then. Housing costs. Someone said, SRT480 said, housing costs are steep there. Are you living in upper end housing, or is this median housing? Thanks for uploading. Alright. The apartments that I'm living in are, I'd say, middle to upper range apartments. Okay, this one that I'm in right now, it's out of the city, so it's cheaper, but it's still a nicer apartment. Of course you can get cheap apartments if you want, but it's all up to you whether you want to really live like that or not. Usually, especially migrant workers share apartments with other people, and they probably spend like 300 RMB a month on their rent to share quite a big but dirty, rundown old apartment somewhere in sort of industrial areas. You can get cheap living if you really want. I wouldn't suggest it though. Okay, next. Does your apartment have a Western or Eastern toilet? By GeForce Ninja. Western toilets, yes. Both of my apartments have had Western toilets, and I have lived in other apartments before that have had those pit toilets. But you know, obviously, most newer apartments will have a Western toilet in it. Okay. Mr. Light Blue Eye said, you probably live in China for the well-known she-male prostitutes, LOOL. No, there aren't actually any she-male prostitutes in China. You're thinking of Thailand or Vietnam. Next, K Sab RS45 said, what do you pay for broadband? And also you dropped Guan Li Fei into the middle of your sentence. Yes, sorry about that. When I was talking about the cost of living in China, I mentioned Guan Li Fei. Guan Li Fei is the management fee. Alright, so hopefully that clears it up. And broadband internet, I've just explained how much that costs. Okay, where are good places to see in Shenzhen? That's a difficult question. Shenzhen isn't what I'd call a tourist-friendly city. There are a few amusement parks and theme parks. There's a China Cultural Village Park. There's a Window of the World, etc., etc. But I think the real places you want to see in Shenzhen are the nice little hidden away areas with special food and special activities to do. Xiangmihu is great for barbecue, etc. Just watch all my videos, you'll see. Next, I have a question about Macau. Is its situation different from Hong Kong, and what do Chinese think about Portuguese? This is from Lisbon Era 86. Right, yes, actually, Macau is basically just thought of as a casino destination. So everybody likes it, no one has a problem with it. Hong Kong people like it, mainland people like it. It's basically just a place to go gambling. I've never heard Chinese people have any problem with Portuguese people, so, you know, I'm sorry, that might not be a very in-depth answer, but that's pretty much all I can give you at the moment. Alright, next. Ilnath asked, how's gender equality in China? Well, gender equality in China is not like the West, I'll put it that much. It's a difficult topic to tackle, so all I'm going to say is that it is definitely more of an old-fashioned view compared to Western countries. Maybe I'll do a video about that later. That's a good suggestion. Okay. Mr. Learn to Read said, based on this video and your experience, is looking white an advantage to finding a job in China? Yes, it is an advantage to finding a job in China if you're going to go into the English teaching field or do something like that, or maybe commercials or, you know, that kind of thing. But as far as other jobs are concerned, well, there aren't really many other kinds of jobs you can do as a foreigner here in China anyway. Okay, Mr. Li Taiquan, I guess, said, I've seen all your movies in the playlist now. Do you know anything about Dalian or Shenyang? Well, I do know something about Dalian. I have a friend living there. Dalian is a sort of a touristy kind of a place. It's by the sea, and I know there's a big Russian community there. And from what I've seen from pictures and so on, it seems like quite a nice place. That's pretty much all I know, to be honest. Next guy, Weldo the Fifth. How did you learn Chinese? Did you take classes or pick it up? Also, can you read written Chinese? Alright, my new series, Surviving Shenzhen, I'm going to cover this, how I learned Chinese. But yes, I can read Chinese a certain amount, probably a few hundred characters, and I can write a little too, etc. So stick around for that. Next guy, Nobby's PC Help. I have a quick question. Can you drink and drive? Well, yes, I can drink and drive. I've been doing it all my life. But whether it's legal to drink and drive is a different story. And no, you can't drink and drive in China. You will get into a lot of trouble. That's why I actually have been very good living here. I try to never drink and drive. Next. Okay. Someone here, Zach Kraft, asked about the crime rate in my area in China. Okay, well, I'm going to actually do a China How It Is all about crime, so stick around for that one. And actually, crime is very, very low in China. Okay, unless of course you go looking for trouble. Next one. Okay, also from Zach Kraft, wants to know about the more taboo stuff. He'd like to hear about crime, police, drugs, prostitution, illegal immigrants, etc. I will cover that later in, well, all of those topics in China How It Is, so stick around for that. And Double Edge 007 asked, why do people spit a lot over there? Well, because they're uneducated, I guess, or that's just what their parents did. I've heard all sorts of nonsense like it's supposed to help clear your chi, or it's got something to do with some cultural thing and this and that and the next thing. Basically, it's just nonsense. People spit because they don't know any better. Next. Blonde 1994 asked, a video about how foreign students are living in China, please. Right. Yes, good one. I will do one about that. Stick around for that. And who's next? Mr. Belly So Hurt asked about the bus systems in Shenyang. And he asked, would it be easy to live without owning a car? Yes, very easy. I did it for, 4 years here, 5 years, yeah, 4 years about I lived in China without a car. And public transport is fantastic. The buses can be a pain in the ass, crowded and uncomfortable at times, but if you know your bus routes well, you can get anywhere you like in China. Very convenient, and they're always coming every few minutes. So yes, you don't need a car and you'll be fine. All right, next. My Only 7 said, do you often go home so late at night? How tall are you? Have you got robbed? I'm not very tall. I'm about 180 centimeters, somewhere around there. I'm not too sure. And no, I've never been robbed, except I've had bicycles stolen, but that's my own fault, leaving them in the wrong place. And yes, I do go home late at night almost every day, and I've never had any problems. And if you look at some of my videos, I do tend to explore really dodgy, dangerous areas at times, and I've never run into any trouble other than what I've been looking for. So I'll explain it all to you later. Mr. Too Fresh, Two Deafs asked, well said, I'm curious, why do you always wear a suit in your videos? I wear a suit because when I go to work, I wear a suit. And yeah, for instance, I'm wearing a suit now because I'm going to be leaving to go to work soon. Okay, next. What is the fine? This is from DSP Demon. What is the fine for drunken driving in China? Well, okay. Now, drunken driving in China, it's everywhere. Lots of people do drink and drive. But recently they've been clamping down big style, and what they've been doing is they have what they call a tiger hunt, where they get the police out and they go on, specifically on weekend nights and things like that, and they just randomly target cars in areas where there are clubs and bars and restaurants and so on. And if they catch you and you're over the limit, they put you in detention for 15 days. They make you wear a stupid pink t-shirt, which I think is pink or orange, and it's got something written on like, I'm a drunk driver, that kind of thing. And then they basically have you sit in a class where an official will sit there and lambast you and tell you how bad drunken driving is for 15 days, and they film it too, and they put your pictures in newspapers and stuff, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so driving drunk, there's a big fine over here, and it's only a recent thing, by the way, and I guess they're just trying to eliminate it if they can. But they won't. Anyway, let's continue. This little questions and answers thing was because I have just finished doing 10 China How It Is videos, and I guess I will continue to do this every 10. We'll sit down and answer the questions I haven't had time to answer online, in the comments. Anyway, once again, thank you very much, guys, for watching, and don't forget to check out my blog, accessoriental.com. There's a link on my YouTube page. Take a look on Google Plus as well. Don't forget, every day I'm uploading pictures of sort of everyday things I see and do in China. If you're interested, go and take a look. And I'm looking forward to seeing all of you in my next video. So, cheers guys, it's always a pleasure.